Welcome back. We're now going to discuss the receiver dryer. So as we just discussed, the refrigerant comes out of the condenser in a liquid state. We've removed enough heat, got the change of state to happen from a gas to a liquid. The liquid comes out of the condenser and it moves into the receiver dryer or accumulator. If you look at the inside of one of these things, you can see that there's a screen and a filter on the top and a screen and a filter on the bottom, and then sandwiched in there is all of these little beads of desiccant. What the function of the receiver dryer is, there's two functions. It removes moisture, water from the refrigerant from the system, and it's also the filter. It filters the refrigerant. It filters out any metal contamination that comes out of the compressor, filters out any general system contamination. The way it works is that liquid comes in from the condenser, it goes into the chamber of the dryer, basically floods that out, pushes the refrigerant, pushes through the filter, through the desiccant, through the other filter, and then back out the center tube. Moisture, water, is bad for an air conditioning system in several different ways. It lowers the AC system performance, prevents cooling. It prevents cooling because in the expansion valve it causes that when that pressure drops in there, it will cause the refrigerant flow to be restricted. The other thing that happens with that is that when water and R134A refrigerant combine, they turn acidic. They turn into an acid. It's hydrofluoric acid, which is very bad for the metal components within the system. On your aluminum components, the condenser and the evaporator, it tends to etch holes. It eats holes in the aluminum, so you end up with a lot of little pinhole leaks in your heat transfer components, basically attacking that from the inside out, from the acidic nature. Dryer should be replaced every time you open up the system for any reason. We also recommend periodic replacement, generally once a year on most vehicles, depending on the environment. The more humid environment, the sooner you need to swap these dryers out, simply because of the desiccant holding capability and the filtering capability. Tends to happen as the filters tend to plug up from the contamination that they're filtering out, and they start to restrict the refrigerant flow going through. Quick diagnosis on those. It's very easy to check. You'd want no more than a 5-degree temperature drop from the inlet to the outlet. If you're dropping temperature there, that means you're also dropping pressure. Dropping pressure means that there's a restriction inside. The filter's getting plugged up. You don't want any restriction on the refrigerant at this point in the system. So the dryer is on the high side of the system. High pressure equals high temperature. So this thing should run warm to the touch, hot to the touch. So if you get one that is sweating or frosting up, that indicates that there's a severe restriction inside. The filter's plugged up and it needs to be changed right away. Also, that acid that I mentioned from the water attacks the steel components within the system. You can see on this receiver dryer that we cut open, you can see all the rust, the corrosion in there. That's the acid attacking the steel. As the oil and refrigerant moves through this thing, of course that rust comes off in the oil. It's carried out into the system, contaminating the rest of the system, causing a lot of problems. Thank you for viewing this training module. Please see our other training modules for more information on air conditioning systems and components from Omega Santec.